All right, let's talk about insulin. All right, insulin. Insulin is a hormone. We know this from anatomy. Naturally occurring in the body helps with the processing of glucose as well as many other things. So we know its action is to cause glucose uptake by the cells, thus lowering blood glucose levels. Okay. Thus lowering blood glucose levels. It facilitates the transport of glucose across the cellular membrane. It also facilitates transport of other things through. It facilitates many things actually. But our biggest concern with it is its effect on the blood glucose, correct? And what does glucose play in active transport, in the Krebs cycle, and energy and ATP development, right? So all of this kind of plays into a bigger picture by small little pieces, okay? So, like I said, our biggest concern for insulin, we do not give this in the ambulance, we do not give this in the pre-hospital setting, but it's important to know what it does so you know why the diabetics that need it, okay? So some of the names I should have gone are Humulin, Novolog, Novolin, all different insulins, different manufacturers, different makes, different origins. Some is pork, some is derived from pork, pancreas, that kind of thing. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, if you need it, you need it. You get it from where you can. There are some other different analogs of insulin made from non-pork because, of course, you have your religious beliefs and stuff like that that do not accept those things. So they have answers for those people as well. Our indications. Why are we going to give insulin, or why are they taking insulin? These are things that you can assume in the pre-hospital setting why they would take insulin. They are diabetic. They are okay. In the ER, you will see insulin given for a number of things other than just diabetes. Hyperglycemia, that's not to say necessarily that they have an official diagnosis of diabetes yet. I've seen people that have never been diagnosed as diabetic have high blood sugar, and they've had one instance where they were given insulin and knocked it down, and they've never had an issue with it again. I don't know why that is. I'm not even going to pretend. I just know that it has happened. Also, diabetic ketoacidosis. Your diabetic ketoacidosis patients are generally hyperglycemic, meaning their blood sugar levels are too high. And they're not taking their insulin properly, and their body is finding anyway, so they're turning to a ketogenic type of metabolism and metabolizing fat, and that process, which is not very good. It's not the best. If you remember through metabolism, you know what's going on with the ketogenic metabolism, there are a lot of acids that are built up that in a non-healthy individual, those acids are going to continue to build and build and build. Well, then they develop an acidosis and a diabetes on top of that, so they get diabetic ketoacidosis. Insulin not only helps with the hyperglycemia, but also helps with the acidosis. We also bolus these people greatly in the diabetic ketoacidosis. We give them large boluses, especially if they're very symptomatic. Again, diabetic ketoacidosis, those people would be, a lot of times they're dry. They are not completely dry. They can be diaphoretic to normal skin. They're small respirations, or they're breathing deeply in and rapidly. If they're in deep DKA, they have a fruity smell about their breath. Not everybody can smell it, but it is there. It smells like juicy fruit gum to me. I have been able to, in the past anyway, smell it from across the room or smell it when they walk in. Some people aren't as sensitive to it. But anyway, as I digress. So these are some of our indications for giving, or actually our indications for giving insulin in the hospital setting. What are our contraindications or dosage? It varies. It depends on how much or how high their blood sugar is, what they normally take. Are they on a sliding scale? Have they been eating? Are they diabetic ketoacidosis? Are they just hyperglycemic? It's too many variables, which is one of the reasons why we don't give it in the field. It can be given IV and sub-Q and IM. So 3 routes of administration. You can actually give an IO if you have to, if you need to. But it's given in units. Insulin will be given in units. When you're in the hospital, I'm sure you will have the opportunity to give it. But just expect units as well. So, our contraindications. Well, why would we not want to give insulin? Well, if our blood sugar is normal or normoglycemic, or we're hypoglycemic. Those are our 2 contraindications. What are the adverse effects of insulin? Hypoglycemia, if not properly monitored. Dosages and types of insulin vary. You've got fast acting, you've got long acting, you've got intermediate, that's, again, there's so many different ones. There is a lot of, there's none of this given pre-hospital that I'm aware of. It's very dependent on the person and the condition as to what the dosage would be. So in the hospital, this is what we're going to, what you can expect in the hospital. You're going to be giving it for hyperglycemia and diabetic ketoacidosis. Specifically, your standard diabetic coming into the hospital, as long as their blood sugar is where they normally maintain it, not considering what's normal, but where it's normal for them, we may not give a dose of insulin depending on if that's part of their problem or not. These are the big high points of insulin.